feared through Killarney. Now I'm back to hitching with the wind. But if Mickey Flynn should ever find me, I'll throw me caution all behind me and swear I'll fall on that son of a bitch again. He cracked open a river too, he beat me Sunday through and through, danced a jig over my unconscious frame. I won me healthy sheriff fights, well lucky son still had me life since Mickey Flynn beat me dumb and lame.
All right, we're back with another episode of the TJ is One of Us podcast. I've got Andrew and from Oklahoma City phoning in here to talk about our dreadful Sixers today. Andrew, how's it going?
I'm doing all right. It could be better if the Sixers are playing good, but everything's going well down here. And actually just got done an intramural game myself, so I got to go back on the court for a little bit.
Nice. How many points you drop on them?
I had a rough day today. I performed like the Sixers have these last couple games. I finished with a 0 today.
Yeah, but did you hustle? Because that's all that matters when you're a washed-up white guy out on the court.
Oh, yeah, I hustled all right. I got to at least put that out there.
There you go. Did you take a charge in an intramural game?
I did not. I tried to before, but I didn't have the opportunity today.
There you go. See, I was going to say I'm anti-charge in intramural games because I'm tiny and I get run over, but I respect the guys that go out there and take them. And I get more amped up when someone takes a charge than like anything else in an intramural game. So
it is a great feeling when you finally get one.
Oh, it is, and everyone hates you for it except for like the guys in your team. Like
exactly right.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into this dumpster fire of the Celtics game that we had on Saturday. I did not watch this live, but last night I did a doubleheader. We're recording this on Tuesday, and I did a doubleheader of the Celtics and Heat game together, and boy, was that a depressing way to end a Monday night. I think my week is just going to be shitty just for making myself do that. So this Celtics game was, in my opinion, one of the worst games the Sixers have played all year. It was, even though Embiid had a scoreless game earlier in the year, I think this was his worst game of the year by far. But before we get into all the misery, I actually did have one take that, because I was watching it recorded through League Pass or whatever, they played some of the stuff that comes up in the stadium in Boston or whatever. And they were doing this thing where the Celtics pick a song that will play every time they step into a doorway. And Jaylen Brown came up. And Andrew, I'm going to ask you, do you think you can guess what song Jaylen Brown picked that would play every time he opens a door for the rest of his life?
Man, I'm going to take it. It's not a common song, by the way you're leading this up, because I did not see this, but is it a rap song or just a common song?
It's not a rap song. It's a common song, and it is probably the cheesiest thing he could have picked.
Let's go. We'll go Rockstar by Nickelback. Okay,
so that probably would have been a cooler song to pick than this one. This was a favorite of housewives and, like teenagers and stuff like 15 years ago. Life is a Highway by Rascal Flatts. That's Jaylen Brown, who's like 23 years old, player of the week last week in the NBA, and he picks a nerdy-ass Rascal Flatts song. Is it a good song? Yeah, of course. If it's on, I'm probably going to jam out to it a little bit. But do I want it playing every time I walk in a door for the rest of my life? Absolutely not. Like, I don't know where that came from. I don't know why he picked it. His whole rationale was just like, I heard it recently, and it was a good song. And you're like, just how much more of like a loser answer can you give than that?
That is definitely a loser answer, because I'm sure every song he listens to pre and post game is probably a song he has recently listened to, and if he's listening to it before or after a game, I'm sure he likes it just as much.
Yeah, so like I just assume now that Jaylen Brown is a complete boner and has no personality and is just picking like the hits that were on like B101 back in like 2012. Like, so yeah, that was probably, even though the Sixers got smashed in this one and embarrassed themselves quite a bit, that was the lone positive to me that I took out. That was like, all right, at least we're cooler than Jaylen Brown, who torched us tonight and doesn't make us feel cool. But yeah, as I was getting into before, I kind of took a detour there and talked about the nerd that is Jaylen Brown. Joel Embiid had his worst game of the year. Going through my notes on the game a little bit, he had the equivalent of what I would call a resting bitch face for the entire game. So he was running down the court, and there was a point actually when, not to keep harping on Jaylen Brown, but Jaylen Brown got a steal. He's run down the court, and then Embiid chased him down to his credit. And he's been doing that a lot lately and trying to pick up blocks on turnovers and stuff, which I appreciate. But he just had this bitchy ass face on, and he misses the block. And Jaylen Brown mean mugs him. And Joel Embiid just kind of looks at him with his bitchy face. It's like, dude, I don't even want to be here right now. We're getting slaughtered already in the second quarter. Fuck my life. Like, how did you feel about Embiid's performance on Saturday night?
I mean, I think you hit it right on the head. It was terrible to put it plain and simple. And like you said, I mean, he easily could have. I mean, he only made one shot in the game. Like, I know he finished with 11 points, but he had nine of those from the foul line. So, like you said, this could have easily been one of his worst performances of the season, if not like one of his worst in his career. Because I mean, you take away those 9 foul shots, he only makes one shot. So compared to that 0 game, he has 2 this game. And I mean, he fouled in that game, and I know he turns it over a lot, but again, 4 turnovers, he can't be doing that, and it was just a sloppy game. And as you mentioned, I mean, he looked like he didn't want to be there, and we'll get into that with the Heat game because I think we'll agree that was the biggest concern in that one. But I mean, and I think it's partially like he mentioned it before in the season where he was going to change the way he presents himself and all that, and I don't know if he misses that or whatnot, and if he feels he can't go back to that, but I truly can say now that I miss the old Joel Embiid.
Yeah, I completely agree with that sentiment. He does not look the same. I thought it was the hand for the first couple games back, and he is still dealing with that, but it's an attitude change in my book, 100%. He came back from this injury and just he's not there. He's definitely not there on the court. I'm worried about him. I'm worried about the way he's carrying himself mostly. You know, the positioning stuff, that's kind of always been there. He's not standing under the basket, but the effort and the way his body language is people are just taking advantage of it left and right, and the announcers are noticing it. Everyone's noticing it, and I would have to say that has to be the biggest concern for the Sixers right now. It's just Joel Embiid's attitude. It's appalling. He needs something. If they need to sit him out a game or do whatever they got to do, because we need to get him back and hyped up on the court right now.
Yeah, I agree. I'll take it one step further. I think the biggest concern right now is the attitude, not just from Embiid, but the entire team. I think it's been obviously horrendous last 2 games. I think it was, again, we'll get into it in a little bit, but I think it was a pathetic showing on Monday night against the Heat. True embarrassment. And then the Celtics game, like you said, you fall behind early, and then once it hit the second quarter and they're losing, it looked like a lot of them didn't want to be there. And outside of Simmons played well in that game on Saturday night. I think he had a pretty good game for himself, and he's been playing well. And obviously outside a couple others, I can't say for the whole team, but the majority of the team just doesn't. I don't know if they're lost. I don't know what it is, but I think they're trying to play, and they've mentioned it before. They're trying to play almost cruise control until the playoffs, but this team isn't good enough to do that, and that's the most concerning thing. And I mean, it goes throughout the whole team, and at some point, someone's got to take accountability. I mean, a meeting can only do so much, but a guy like Al Horford, a veteran in the league, like you need to call the group upon you and really get this team going or something.
Yeah, Al Horford was actually, that's a good point to get into now. I am really worried about his role in the team right now because he doesn't seem to know what he's doing out there. Stat came out today that I saw that the combination of Joel Embiid and Al Horford is, no surprise, not working out. But the stat basically was saying that the statistics that they put up together is the worst of any big man pairing Embiid's had his entire career, or second worst, or something similar to like his rookie year. I think there was someone else in there, some nobody during the process era that didn't really matter. But Al Horford's our guy for a couple of years here, and not only can they not make it work together, they don't seem to even make it work separate when they're both in the game like together. I don't I don't understand what the plan is there. I'm not seeing any change in it. And I mean, the whole front court is a fucking mess right now. Like,
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, and that's the worst part too, because honestly, at this point, it's all just a mess. I mean, Horford, and that's the thing. It seems like they tried to build a system to match what the Spurs did back when they first started, because Brown was under Greg Popovich, and they wanted to get that kind of system going here as well. And to me, it's almost like the players didn't buy into it, and now since they didn't buy into it, they're not buying into Brown, and it's all just creating a huge mess. No one is on the same page, from Elton Brand to Brett Brown to the bottom of the players list. It just doesn't seem like anybody is on the same page, because I mean, Simmons has clicked and stuff, and even when they started winning in the few games Embiid was outside of Simmons, no one really impressed us throughout that stretch either. So outside of Simmons, it's really been a weird, almost like a down year for a lot of these players. And outside, obviously, we've mentioned the step up or the progress that Furkan's made, but again, like, I think we can all agree Harris is taking a step back this year. Horford's clearly taking a step back. Scott's clearly taking a step back. I mean, in that game on Saturday, James Ennis comes out and he only plays 4 minutes, and he's supposed to be one of your key guys off the bench. You don't know who your backup point guard is in Trey Burke and Raul Neto, so it's just all a mess, and I don't think they know what to do.
Maybe that is the issue, is they're kind of at a loss right now. It's just a dumpster fire, and they keep fueling this and getting worse and worse. Like, I think we need the All-Star break, and we need it stat. I mean, like, I can't wait for them to come back from that and see if they bounce back and have an attitude change. I thought a little like Super Bowl trip in Miami with the team would definitely, boost the morale a little bit, but I mean, fuck, they're hanging out with Jimmy Butler again, which everyone knows I love my guy Jay Butt, but like, you can't be hanging out with the guy you're going to play the next night. It's not a good look. I didn't like seeing that. And sure enough, I mean, we're transitioning into this Heat game. We'll finish out the Celtics game in a few minutes here. Like, sure enough, we got smoked that night too. Like, it's a weird vibe they're putting out. It's not just Philadelphia is a panicky city and we overreact to everything anymore. The rest of the league is caught on, and honestly, the Sixers hype has just completely died down across the league.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, the Miami trip, because I took an issue with that as well. And I think the big thing I had with that is it's not like you went out and took care of business against the Celtics, or even lost on a buzzer beater or kept it within 10. You went out and got humiliated to your rival without. They were missing Kemba Walker, one of their best players, if not their best scorer. And you go out there and you lay a huge egg, you get blown out and killed, and then you go out and party the next night. I don't know if they partied or whatnot, but I'm sure they did. I know they were with Butler at the Super Bowl. And then on top of that, you go and lay another even worse performance last night. It's like none of these guys are taking each other accountable, and at this point, it just seems like they're just walking in, taking their paycheck, and they're like, okay, we got our money. We're just going to go out there, make sure we don't get hurt, and we'll do whatever happens and take whatever result will happen.
Yeah, I think bringing up the fact that the Celtics are a rival and we got embarrassed by them just didn't seem to faze any of them. It was just kind of like a normal night. They're like, all right, whatever, like, we'll get them next time. Like, no, you need to go out there and play 120% every time against the Celtics. Like, that's what gets the people going in the city. That's what, revitalizes you as a team. I really had an issue when you come out, and I mean, I think they were down 20-8 at some point in the first quarter. Like, they put up 19 points in the first quarter, which is embarrassing. I understand the Celtics are good at defense, but the Sixers are equally as good, if not better, on defense, and we gave up 32 in the first quarter. They just got beat, from the opening buzzer to the last buzzer there in that game. There was no effort. It was pretty embarrassing, and I mean, I'd love to sit here and say we can just put that behind us, but we've had far too many of those games already at this point.
Exactly, and just to go back on the Embiid point real quick about how I was talking about is the old Embiid. Imagine, let's say last year, but let's go like two years ago, if the Sixers would have performed like that against the Celtics, Embiid would have been all over after the game, you would have heard Embiid say something, and you would have heard the motivation in his voice, and you could actually believe that he was ready to get back out there and like make a revenge game or get back on the court and fix the things that happened. But like nowadays, a game like that, you don't hear a word from him. You won't hear a word from him really outside his quick media press conference after the game, and he doesn't say anything too big anymore. And then you go out and party the next night, and then you get so it's just like it seems like I, I don't. It's like I don't like the change that has happened to him because it doesn't seem like he's into it as much as he used to be, and he's the one that would fuel the fire and get because he played behind that motivation. Like if you think about it, when he was off, he didn't seem motivated, and when he was on, it was either a chippy play that happened in the game that got him motivated, or some old time fun trash talking before the game got him motivated and ready. And now it doesn't seem like anything can motivate the guy.
Yeah, we need him back on social media. We need him talking shit. We need him making enemies again. Like, I don't like disrespectful Embiid. I don't like this guy that shows up and collects a paycheck. It's not him. It's not what we signed up for. It's not what we've grown accustomed to. The other thing too that I had written down here is a note, and I don't. Maybe I was getting tired or something in the night, but I think the most infuriating thing about the whole game, and Ben Simmons was actually included in this. I mean, he did have a good game. I'm not downplaying it at all. But there were an infuriating amount of just layups missed. And not like missed in the sense that like they're putting them up and they're contested or like, they're rimming out and it was a bad luck thing. They were just flat out missed. So when you're not going to make 3-pointers, which we've all decided and we're all, we've made our peace with at this point, like it's just not going to change this year and not going to happen. You can't miss close shots like that. Like, it was literally like every other drive. There was a point in the game, and in the first and second quarter especially, because that was the only time they were putting in any effort. They were just blowing easy shots left and right. And it was just, Ben Simmons running too fast, throwing the ball, up and just being a bad shot. And then like, they would settle down and have a decent drive. Then they would come back down and like Horford would just throw up a fucking brick, or Embiid would throw up a brick. Or even, Shake Milton, to his credit, he actually has been playing really well. Like, even he had a couple just weird shots. I guess I can expect that from him, but, like, I don't know, man. Like, you gotta make layups, you gotta make free throws. I don't think I'm asking too much for that.
Absolutely. I mean, when you're making this much money to play a game of basketball, you need to be able to make your layups. And I'll touch on the point about Simmons. And like you said, he played good, so you can't rip on him too much. But I feel like this is a bigger issue than him not shooting, is he never understands the speed of his own game. And I feel like that's almost been a problem in a lot of his career, is he's missing these layups because he does go way too fast. And it's like, at what point, I get it, you don't want to shoot, but at what point do you realize how fast you are? And like, at what point do you start controlling your own speed to the rim?
Yeah, that's true. He's got to figure it out. He's not 16 anymore. Like, he should be accustomed to his like man body now, if you will. Like, I don't know. And part of it, I mean, might have just been like him trying to do too much in that game, because he had to recognize that no one else was going to show up that night. So he's been doing that a lot lately, and I do see that. And like, I don't want to act like we're knocking him too much, but yeah, he needs to figure that out, because you can't be a star in the league and like not understand your speed. Like, Russell Westbrook is probably the fastest person in the NBA. And he understands, like, when he accelerates, what then happens afterwards, and doesn't throw just a brick that doesn't even hit the rim, like, just goes off the backboard and, like, barely even registers as a shot at that point. Like, Ben Simmons did that, like, 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, and to me, the layups can also go back to what we're talking about, is at some points this team they look like they don't care. And if you don't care, you're going to miss those easy shots. And it must be the way they're practicing too. I mean, because I believe in the way you practice will translate into the way you perform in games. So if it's just a whole careless attitude at this point, it's clearly showing.
Yeah, I completely agree. One last take from the Celtics game, dude. How awesome is Taco Fall? The whole stadium just chants Taco for the entire fourth quarter. Dude off the end of the bench, tallest player in the NBA. He comes in and just kind of like walks around, but he's so big, like, that he doesn't actually have to do anything. He scores, and just everyone in Boston erupts. I mean, don't get me wrong, I hate the Celtics with every fiber of my being, but I kind of like Taco Fall a lot. He's so likable.
Oh, I love Taco Fall. I'll never forget the game against Duke in the March Madness last year, and there's like all the hype between him versus Zion. Like that was the first time you I knew him before that, but that was like the first time you like saw how much fun of a guy he was and stuff. And he took that and took the moment into translating it into a big chance to show what he can do in the NBA. And I think it's fun to see him get. I mean, as much as I hated how much votes he got in the All-Star game, it was funny to see how much appreciation he has around the league, because I don't know if you saw this, but in the front court for the East, he finished sixth in All-Star voting, and he's played how many minutes for the year? Like he had more votes than Gordon Hayward and Andre Drummond.
It was awesome. That I mean, that's one of the flaws of the All-Star game, but also one of the best parts of it is the fact that, like, because the fans love Taco Fall, like he can just rise to stardom, and I hope he sticks around for a while. I mean, he does seem to play hard, and he goes out there and has a little fun, but he's a young guy and he's giant. I mean, you can't teach someone to be 7'7". So if the Celtics let him go, I mean, we can bring him on to the Sixers and do something there. I mean, he'll always have a spot in the NBA. I mean, granted, he does need to develop more as a player, but he's so likable, and I think the fact that the entire city of Boston loves him, and he's a favorite player on a pretty unlikable Celtics team, in my opinion. It's cool to see what he's done this year.
And when else do you see the number 99 in basketball?
I love when people wear like off numbers in basketball, like 99, 00, like even normal 0, like kind of gets me going a little bit there. Like it's awesome. What number do you wear? A number if you're in intramural games or not?
No, we just wear same color T-shirt. But if my favorite number is 4, so I've always tried to get 4, and then obviously being a Philly kid or being right outside of Philly, you always try to get the 3 for Iverson too. So, but I was always a big number 4 fan growing up.
I'm a big 10 guy, but the problem is when you play intramural sports and you're one of the smaller kids, you can never get 10 because it's always a big size. For whatever reason, the assholes that make the intramural jerseys just always make that like a large or an XL. So right. I would always try to squeeze into it, but like I would be like a flying squirrel out there running around with it on, which was ridiculous. And in those days, I was wearing a headband and like high socks and an armband because I was pretty fucking cool. And no one wants to see the white kid chucking up threes and wearing a headband in a size large jersey or T-shirt jersey at that point.
You gotta have fun with it in intramurals. It's all about the fun. You can wear whatever you want in intramurals. I wore a headband and shooting sleeve. I was that guy.
You have to. Yeah. Dude, my favorite line that ever came out of intramural sports. I think we had a coach who was like 17 or 18, and I was probably like 12 or 13. So it was just like a lot of fun. Like the kids would go out there and they would scrimmage with us, and it was at that point too. Like you kind of realize like when I was playing intramural at 12 or 13, I was like, all right, I'm not good at basketball, but I'm gonna have fun with this, and that was pretty much how everyone took it. And we were going out there, and there's this kid. His name was Jordan something. I can't remember his last name. He's got these big ass bug ears, giant buck teeth. Is like scrawny as all hell. He wears double headbands, 2 different colors, of course. He got to match the jersey. Then he goes full arm sleeve. Then he has every like color wristband, like the Livestrong style thing on his wrist. Then he has on the other arm, he has a wristband, an elbow band, and an upper arm band that I don't know, he found one that small size. Then he has double leg bands going down, one on top of the knee, one below the knee. And we were sitting there, and the 17-year-old kid, like, I was sitting next to him, like shooting the shit. And he sees this kid, Jordan, walk in and just goes, "Man, kid must sweat a lot." And he like claps his hands and goes, "All right, guys, let's get into it." And I could not stop laughing to the point where like I don't think I could play the first quarter of the game. Like it was so stupid and so funny, but 13-year-old Scott was all over that joke.
That is great.
Yeah,
that is quite the decoration on a player too. I'm surprised he didn't make the NBA.
Yeah, seriously, right? Like, I mean, he might be in it right now. I cannot prove that he is not in the NBA. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure that he probably, works some finance job somewhere, and is typical kid from who I grew up with. But yeah, if I ever run into that kid again, I will definitely bring up how many armbands and headbands he wore playing intramural basketball when we were 13. Like, can't get away. Like, I don't know how your parents let you out the door at that point. Like, I guess they've probably just given up and they're like, fuck it. He doesn't care what he looks like. He's going to get made fun of. Like, he can do whatever he wants. But yeah, so let's move on to this dumpster fire of a Heat game that I have playing again in the background here. And Andrew, I don't know why I keep doing this to myself. I said it to you before. I said it to you and Jane last night in our text thread. Like, these games are so bad. I don't know why I'm rewatching them now. Like, I feel like people in religions that like try to torture themselves until like gain penance. Like, I don't know what I did wrong in the last couple weeks, but I am just running myself through the ringer. My eyes are bleeding from watching this fucking dumpster fire / train wreck of the game.
Yeah, I gotta give you credit for watching it for that many times. You just shows how dedicated you are to this show. You gotta have it like a full breakdown of it in the back of your head.
Yeah, I'm trying to give you guys live feedback here on this, but I'll be honest, it's not good, and I thought maybe I just missed something watching it the first time, but nope. Sure enough, it's bad. Like, really, if I was a Heat fan right now and I was doing a Heat podcast, I don't know what we would call it because I don't know. Was it Goran Dragic is one of us? Is that probably the equivalent to TJ McConnell, except he's a starter? So I don't know. Working title for the Heat podcast, and we're never going to do it. But if I was talking about the night when they played the Sixers, I would give them the Cavs the treatment we give the Cavs, and just say the Heat played a basketball game last night, and that was it, because they blew the doors off us here. I mean, first half the Sixers did try a little bit and looked better than the Celtics game, but this second half was the worst second half of basketball the Sixers have played in the last 3 years. Is that safe to say? Like,
I mean, you probably go farther than that. I mean, when was the last time a Sixers team has given up 81 points and a half? Like, and that's the most frustrating thing. Like, this team, we all knew coming into the year, you were going to struggle scoring the ball at times. Well, you put up 106 points. That's not that bad. You were down 56 to 52 at halftime. Again, not bad. Winnable game. Still come back in the second half. But then the effort, and you're supposed to be built around defense, and you give up 40-plus points in back-to-back quarters. Like, that's the epitome of just absolute terrible basketball. And again, we already mentioned it, but the most concerning thing is the lack of effort, the lack of wanting to be out there, the look of wanting to be out there. And yeah, I mean, we already ripped on Embiid this game and stuff, and yeah, he had a great game. He dropped 29, but he dropped 29 with, again, looking like he didn't want to be there, looking like, oh, it's just another game, just another day. Like it just, I don't know what it is, and I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of people are gonna rip on Brett Brown, but I don't know how much Brown can do to turn around a team that has like lost faith in him maybe. Because I don't know if you saw the video of, I don't remember at what point in the game it was, because we probably called all of our timeouts, but Brett Brown calls a timeout, and he's clearly like yelling, trying to get the team into it and stuff, and trying to tell them what to do. And I can't remember all the players there, but I know Harris was one of them. But it looked like they got up and started walking before Brown was even done talking. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, this team is really clearly missing something with the way Brown's talking or something. I don't know if you saw that video on Twitter.
I haven't run across it today. I had a weirdly busy Tuesday at work, so I did not spend as much time as I like just cruising through Twitter. I'll have to pull that up afterwards. But I did notice just the general apathy of the team in the second half, which I don't get. Like, to your point, you said 52 to 56 at halftime. Very winnable basketball game. You're on the road. Like, you don't play well on the road, but the Heat are a very important team in the East. We need to win these kind of games, and they just got the doors blown off them by the Celtics. You would think that would fuel the fire a little bit, but it did nothing for them. Maybe it was a Super Bowl hangover. Like, maybe they were out partying, and we can blame it all on that. But, like, I don't know, man. This is unacceptable. As bad as they played against the Celtics, this game was worse, in my opinion. I hate the start out playing decent, and they were fine. And, Embiid actually, I think he scored, like, 17 of the first 21 points or something awesome like that. And then he just didn't do anything for a period of the game. Like, it's weird. Like, I don't know. It does seem weird to say that he didn't play well in a game where he had a double-double and he had 29 points, but he didn't play well again. Like,
and that's the thing. I don't remember the exact numbers, but like you said, he went out there and scored a ton of our points in the first quarter, and then I think I read he took like one shot from at some point in the second quarter to the end of the third quarter. Like, when you get off to that how to start, like why aren't you continue to like shoot the ball? Like how many points did you say he had in that first quarter?
I think he had 17 or something in the first quarter.
I mean,
like
you dropped
an awesome number. Yeah.
You dropped 17 in the first quarter, and I'm sure he hit some foul shots. But I mean, you don't make a 3-point, or he made 2 3-pointers in that game. So you score 17 in the first quarter, and you finish the game with only 9 made shots. I mean, that means you've probably only had like two maybe 3 shots made outside of that first quarter, and then outside the foul, you made 9 foul shots. So like, I don't know what he did to take a step back. Ben Simmons only finishes the game with 7 shots. Like, I get it. He finished with 16, 8, and 7. So you look at the box score, not an overall bad night. But, like, Simmons got to take more than 7 shots. Like, it just – and then Harris has an off night, 0 for 6 from 3, 3 for 12 overall. It's a complete mess. And, unfortunately, it doesn't seem like it's going to end anytime soon. And that's the most disturbing thing is, like, they go home, and I don't know if they're just afraid to. I'm sure they are afraid to play this bad in front of Philly fans, and they just go home and dominate, and then they go on the road, and it looks like they've never played a game of basketball before.
It does not look like the same team. I'm going to stat correct myself here. Embiid had 11 of the first 17 points of the night, so still an equally impressive stat, still an equally great start to the game, but then like did nothing. I'm confused. I mean, is our next game back home? I haven't looked ahead on this.
Unfortunately, no, and I'm sure we're getting to touch on this game in a little eventually, but I mean, I'm gonna, from what they've shown us recently, the next game's on Thursday, by the way, and it's at Milwaukee, so it's gonna look just as bad as probably last night did. I mean, I don't know if they'll lose by 21 or 31, but I mean, nothing they've shown us in these last 2 games on the road gives me any reason to believe that Thursday's game at Milwaukee will be within 10 points.
Yes, we got this game Thursday at Milwaukee. Then we have a game at home on Friday. So it's a back-to-back. We're playing one of the hottest teams in the league, Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies. And we have the Bulls on Sunday, and then the Clippers on Tuesday at home again, and then finally we get saved by the All-Star break there, and they get 9 days off and don't play until the following Thursday. Boy, do we fucking need it. Dude, I definitely want to bring this up. Have you been following the saga of Ja Morant just, like, going after Andre Iguodala right now?
Yes, it's getting pretty wild, like, honestly. Like,
It's been, so to fill in the loyal listeners of TJ's One of Us podcast here, basically Ja Morant just came out and said, like, get rid of Andre Iguodala. We hope that we trade him so that we can play him and show him what he's missing. And pretty much what he's referencing is Andre Iguodala and the Grizzlies had a deal that Andre Iguodala would not play until they could find a way to trade him to a team on his approved list. So Andre Iguodala is a veteran. No big deal. I understand it, and they have not been able to make it work in their favor. So he's just been sitting out. The problem with that is, and this is where he's in a weird spot, no one thought the Grizzlies were going to be any good. I mean, I say it all the time. That's where players go to die. Like, no one wants to be on the Grizzlies, except for they're awesome right now. And Ja Morant is probably the most exciting, like, player in the NBA, or one of the most exciting players in the NBA right now. I mean, Dame Lillard's clearly the most exciting because he's on a historical run. It's another thing we can get into a little bit too, because you know I love the Trailblazers. But yeah, so Ja Morant is just running the team here, and then if Andre Iguodala all of a sudden decides to just get out there and play, it would be a weird look. But I love when rookies come out and say this kind of cocky stuff, and I hope he backs it up. And I hope they do get to play Andre Iguodala, because I think the storyline behind it all will be awesome, and there'll finally be a little bit of a notoriety behind a Memphis game. But the real point to this, as we get back into Sixers talk here, is we have two hard games coming up. Again, even though one's at home against the Grizzlies, like we're probably going to get smoked on Thursday against the Bucks. I'm dreading watching that game. Knowing the path I'm on right now, I'll probably watch it 17 times. But but we're not in a good spot. You can't lose. I mean, we've lost 3 in a row right now. We're probably going to lose 4 in a row, and we have the chance to lose 5 in a row, which is just such a dangerous slide at this point in the year.
Yeah, and I mean, you're already sitting in the 6th spot, and we already know that this team can't win on the road for whatever reason. I mean, it's been like that. I feel like for the last 2 years since we started becoming good again. For whatever reason, we can't play on the road. And right now, I think I'm gonna wait. I was talking to one of my friends about this. I'm gonna wait until Thursday to really panic after the trade deadline and see if we'd make any moves, which we'll touch on with that being so close. But I mean, people are already starting to talk about, like, can the Sixers, which I don't think anyone in the city or even anyone around the league would have imagined even talking about this. But, I mean, the Sixers could be in serious danger of getting knocked out in the first round of the playoffs because this team can win on the road, and you're sitting in the 6th spot right now, and you get a matchup with your rival, the Celtics, and I know anything can happen in games like that, but, I mean, and even if you move up a spot, then you go to the 5 spot, and you get a 7-game series with Miami getting the home court advantage, and we clearly saw how that went last night, and it's a train wreck right now, and unfortunately, I'd rather the All-Star break be Thursday and not the trade deadline, so we could actually get rest and try to fix different things and really come down together as a team. But even the stretch, which we can even do a quick touch on it, but the stretch before the All-Star break is not easy.
No, it absolutely isn't. Before we get into that stretch, let's talk a little bit about the playoff breakdown right now. What I'm taking from the way that you were so eloquently phrased all that is we're not going to be favored in any of these games, and rightfully so. Even as a Sixers homer, like, I would have a hard time predicting us to beat the Celtics in a series where we don't have home court advantage. And it's a grind, and like you said, anything can happen in those games, but I wouldn't feel good about it. I mean, I definitely wouldn't feel good about playing the Heat, although it seems like we play them every single year in the playoffs. I don't know how that's even possible, but it just kind of happens, and they play us hard every single time. We just got crushed in their home court. Jimmy Butler's playing crazy right now. So, yeah, I don't know. If we somehow magically lost ground and the Nets overtook us, and we even fell into the 7th spot here, we're looking to play in the Raptors, who are about as hot as can be, and have been, I think, probably the biggest surprise in the East this year.
I really hope we don't have to go down that road of talking about a collapse that has us hitting the 7th seed.
Oh my God, yeah. I'm just bracing myself for disaster here as we're in dire straits on the show right now. I mean, clearly we're all in a state of panic, and this episode will rightfully be dubbed Yikes, and just that. Like, this is not a good scenario. So let's get back into the schedule here and talk about what we have to do leading up to the All-Star break to alleviate some of the depression that is going on right now when you look and analyze the 76ers.
And again, we start Thursday against Milwaukee, and I think you would agree with me that it'd be very hard to pick this team against a Bucks team at home or on the road. I mean, no matter how good we looked against them at home, I know we looked very, very good on Christmas Day against them. But, I mean, with the way it's going now, I'd pick a loss on Thursday.
Yeah, so we're probably going to lose that game. Let's write that up as a loss. We lose 4 in a row. We get a back-to-back at home. We're traveling overnight or whatever, hopping on the plane. Hopefully they're all rightfully depressed and like, fuck, we got to pick it up, get a little fire under them. We got to come out and we have to, I think, not only beat the Grizzlies, I think we have to beat them, like, emphatically. Like, to the point where, like, we go out and score, like, 15 points before they score anything. Just to get, off the floor and make a statement in that game. Get a little momentum going. And on Sunday, we have the Bulls. I mean, the Bulls stink. so that has to be a win. But you never know with how we're playing right now. Then we got this Clippers game that should be tough, but the Clippers are a very beatable team. I don't quite know what's going on with them because they're still great. I still firmly do believe that they will be the best team in the West. I think they're better than the Lakers once they figure it out a little more. But they're very beatable right now, and we need to capitalize on this Clippers game. That will be the linchpin to everything that leads us into the All-Star break for me, everything over this next 4-game stretch. That is the biggest must-win game to me.
Yeah, I mean, to get people to get back on to believing, you need to show fans and teams around the league that, I mean, right now it's just a rough stretch and not a future bringing of what's to come. And I mean, you can make the excuse of the road losses and stuff, but like you said, that Clippers game is important because you're home. So I think that's gonna really tell where this team's at. Like if you go home and you get full on blown out at home to the Clippers, it'll show you that this team is in legitimate trouble. But if you go out, you play them tough, whether you win by 1 or lose by 1 to a good team like that, I think it shows that you're still there. But I mean, this would be a really important game to win, go into the break with the momentum of beating one of the best, if not the best, all-around teams in the league. I mean, and obviously, if they surprise us all Thursday, that would even be a bigger statement win than just because it's on the road and Milwaukee's probably is one of the best again, if not the best in the league. So I think you really need to find I think Memphis and Chicago, they're must-wins just because of where they're at. But if you can find a way to at least beat Milwaukee or LA, that'd be a big statement.
I agree. I would go as far as saying we have to win one of those games. The Clippers game obviously seems like the easier path to victory there. But I'll tell you what, I would take a lot of faith in the fact they show up in Milwaukee and they play hard the whole game. They don't take a third quarter off or just start out like dog shit and give up on the game. Play all the way through. Maybe like Embiid gets teed up for like getting in a little scrap with someone, like, cause a little controversy, and like we got to talk about that in the post game. And he's all fired up again. Like we get a Ben Simmons huge dunk, and then he flexes in the away crowd and like shows up on the TNT camera like that, and that's the break going into the commercial. Like I would honestly take a lot of solace in that, and that would mean as much to me as a win on Thursday night. Actually, I should rephrase that because a win would be way bigger. But that would win as much to me. That would mean as much to me as a win against or a close win against the Bulls or something like that. Like that game should be a blowout. This Bucks game needs to be a hard fought game, and they need to get back into it and improve their attitude. And I don't know how they're gonna do that.
No, I completely get what you're saying, and that's something I want to see too. And I mean, that's the biggest thing. If we're, I mean, even if we weren't in like a total dispatch right now, I think I would still probably lean the Bucks, but in a close game. So even if you find a way to just show the fans that show the fans the effort. I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to playing in a city like Philadelphia is we want to see the effort, and that's what's not there. So if you go into Milwaukee, you keep it close, you battle, you go back and forth, a lot of lead changes. Like that's what I want to see. And if you go down 20 and bring it back to within 2, whatever, yeah, to an extent, yeah, you fall back. But no, I want to see a game where you're battling back and forth throughout the game. I don't want to see any of that, like 20, like if they get it up to 20 and you fight back and bring it within 10. Like, yeah, I guess that's good to a degree. You fall back in the game, but I want to see a full fight throughout the game. And obviously, I mean fight like between the two teams.
Oh no, I thought
game.
you meant brawl, like literally
No.
brawl out there in the court, like Giannis and Joel Embiid throwing fists at each other. I'd take that.
Right when I said that, I want to make sure I cleared that up. But like you said, if Embiid gets a technical, like that's fine because we want to see that passion back into these players, and that's what they're lacking. And I think, and even we talk about it with managers in baseball getting ejected to try to spark the team. Maybe that's something maybe Brett Brown needs to find a call in the game where, yeah, it's borderline, maybe the ref's right, maybe he's not, but like go the extra step and even Jimmy Butler said it I remember for his game 1 or game 2 of the playoff series against the Nets where he said, Butler said after the game, we went into halftime and Brett Brown started yelling at us, cursing at us, all this, and it wasn't his normal self, and it showed us that he was there and he really it showed us what he really was about, and it brought some energy to the team. And maybe that's something that he has to do, is find his own energy as well. Get a technical early in the game or something, fire the team up, and something's got to give at some point.
Yeah, I agree. There can be no more meetings at whatever bougie brunch spot that me and Shane always joke about. That Brett Brown takes a player to and, has a heart-to-heart meeting with them. We're past heart-to-heart. He's a man in dire straits. His job is, just gone if they don't turn the season around. Like, he absolutely knows that. The rest of the team knows that. So we're really going to see what the Sixers are made of as we go into the All-Star break here and beyond. And I know we do get pessimistic from time to time here, and the TJ is one of those podcasts, but this is not good. This is one of the worst thoughts we've had, or the worst just overall moods on the show watching the Sixers that we've had in a while. And it begs the question that everyone at home is wondering: do we need to get Furkan wearing the goddamn yellow shoes again? Do you think that's what we're missing right now?
Oh, absolutely. As much as it hurts the eyes, you got to do what's best for the team, not your looks. So get back in those yellow, or even the green shoes at some point we were working. Just, he can't be having these matching shoes anymore.
No, I agree. It's ridiculous. He needs to be looking crazier there. Someone needs to just get fined by the league, wear a goddamn ninja headband. Just something needs to change.
He had a fresh haircut and everything the last game. He's actually trying to bring on a great appearance now all of a sudden. Come on now.
That's not Furkan. That's not the Furkan we love to hate and talk shit about. We've been so mad about the Sixers in the last couple games that we didn't even bring up Furkan because it's not even relevant at this point. There's nothing to be mad about with him because there's so much else to be mad about.
Exactly. It's because I guess I don't know. There's nothing to complain about him with because he only gets so many minutes and stuff, and it seems like he's always out there. So, hey, Furkan, just keep making your 2 or 3 threes a game. The team desperately needs them. And go back to, what was the game? He dropped 24. Go back to that night.
Yeah, I'd accept that. What if Furkan comes out and just throws down, drops 35 in Milwaukee? Just is, he's got this fresh cut. He's shaped up out there. He's got some swaggy ass yellow shoes on again. And he just shows up. That might be the answer that we all need. But while we're on the topic of, we're desperate and we're looking for something here, do you think there's a move we can make at the trade deadline that will help reinvigorate us and bring us, into contention with the top teams in the East again? Because right now we're just not there. So do we need to go outside of the organization right now and make a move to get someone?
Yeah, I think at this point, I don't know who you're going to bring in. Luckily, it's not my job, it's Elton's job. But I think this team is in a state where if you really want to compete this year, which, obviously I think they would. I think that with how big of a mess this team is right now, you got to find something to spark the team. And unfortunately, I don't think anything drastic's going to happen. I don't think you're going to bring in a Harris or a Butler like last year. I think that was the year they really went for it. Because I just don't think at this point, I don't know. Yeah, you have Zaire, you have a couple picks here and there, you have a couple guys, but overall, I don't know what you're going to be able to bring in. And I know we mentioned a couple guys, which again I'd love. I was on board with you. I'd love Derrick Rose to come in, especially with we touched on it earlier with the hole, and you don't know who the backup point guard is between you bringing in Nito and you're bringing in Burke, and you don't know who it is. And if you could bring in a solidified guy like Rose to help the team, I think that would help a lot. I think at this point, we're all concerned about Horford. You bring in maybe a backup forward or something like that. I've heard Morris thrown around a couple times, but obviously we've heard Covington, which actually I don't know if you saw this. A big report came out about a near deal with that, which we can get into. That broke on Twitter while we've been doing this podcast. So I don't know if you, I can touch on that. We can touch on that later.
Break that to the people then. Yeah, I'm not up on the latest and greatest of that. I just seen brief talks about Rocco being involved in a 3 or 4 team trade.
Yeah, so the latest report on Twitter, this is from Seamus. He said Minnesota, Atlanta, and Houston are now in serious discussions on a deal that would send Robert Covington to the Rockets, Clint Capella to the Hawks. Evan Turner and draft compensation are involved in the current talks that would go to the Timberwolves, and then now they're saying a potential fourth team and might be getting involved as well, which then Woj dropped that the fourth team might be the Nuggets.
The Nuggets. Okay. So if you remember before the year started, we were talking about the Nuggets, who I predicted to win the West. Don't know if that's going to happen anymore. I'm cooling off on that take, but there's still time. Who knows? Jokic could actually start playing basketball over there. But they have the most ability to trade in probably all of the NBA at this point. I mean, the Grizzlies could do something crazy. They have all kinds of cap space. I don't think they're really going to go for it. The Hawks have been talking about getting Trae Young some more help there. I mean, they stink, so anything they do isn't going to really move the needle unless it's something giant. But this could get real interesting if the Nuggets get involved in there. I know there were brief talks that the Warriors were going to be involved in this deal, and D'Angelo Russell was going to get moved, which I didn't quite get at this point, but no one really knows what the Warriors are doing right now. Rocco being on the Rockets would, I think, be great for him. They're clearly trying to move Capella there, and they're trying to lower their spend a little bit. But I think he's a great fit there. He's just like an ultimate role player, and they desperately need role players. But I think that he could help their just huge defensive problem a little bit. They don't play any defense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what they enjoy the most about him. Obviously, he'd get a lot of open looks with being not the main guy, with them having Harden and Westbrook already. So I think, but like you said, more than anything, the defense. I mean, obviously everyone knows Mike D'Antoni's an offensive genius, and that's mostly what he cares about here and there. And I think if they were able to get Covington, you could probably see him maybe starting around at the 3 or being the first guy off the bench to help that defense, especially in games against teams you think they could take advantage of that. And I would be an absolutely great fit. And he goes back to where his career started in Houston. So. And I mean, to me, if Clint Capella actually went to the Hawks, I think they could. Obviously they're down at the bottom for the rest of this year, but you build around a Trae Young, Clint Capella duo, and then whoever you get in the draft next year, that could be even start to be a little dangerous if they play free agency well to go with those guys.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they could pick someone up in the draft that really helps them out, and they might be able to attract some actual talent there. I haven't looked ahead to free agency, so I can't quite remember who would be coming up for a big deal here, but they would have the ability to find someone. Don't they have a forward? I can't remember off the top of my head. He's actually been pretty good all year too. I mean, for as bad as the Hawks' record is, and mind you, the Sixers just lost to them in a very embarrassing game where we deserved to lose that game, and it was in Atlanta, but good God did we suck, and good God was Trae Young awesome. They're kind of exciting to watch to an extent, and I think they have a chance to be good if they play their cards right. Now, Atlanta just is perennially not able to do that, but we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, and Atlanta's one of those teams. I mean, I remember talking about them at the beginning of the year when they got off to that fantastic start, and it's kind of surprised. I mean, I know they obviously died off, but I think in a way, if they get the right pieces, that could help build something there, and I think that could be one of the fun teams to watch in the near future. And I love Trae Young. I think I didn't expect him to be this good coming into the league. I thought he was mainly built around college, but he's clearly proved me wrong. And I think he's one of the fun guys to watch in the league.
Yeah, he is a lot of fun. I just always think it's funny when someone like that has this chip on their shoulder, and then he goes out and drops 40 points and see, told you all I could do it. I told you all you were wrong. But then when you look at the numbers in the game, it's yeah, you dropped 40, but you guys lost by 13 points, Trey, and you were never in the game. This doesn't mean anything. That's the equivalent of Pat Burrell dropping 35 bombs and hitting 28 of them in the seventh inning when the Phillies are down by 4 or 5 runs. Pat Burrell's awesome, Trae Young's awesome, but win the game. That's what matters, and then people will take you seriously. Yeah, I like to check in on the Hawks, and I like watching them. I mean, no secret here that we're basketball junkies. We kind of take whatever we can get, but they're a fun team to check in on every once in a while.
Absolutely, and I guess if let's just touch back on the Sixers real quick. I don't know. Do you think anything? I'll return the question. Do you think anything's going to happen big before Thursday?
No, I sadly don't. When they didn't sign Pell to a contract for the rest of the year, I thought that meant that they were going to go after Derrick Rose, but there's no talking of it at this point. I mean, the Sixers do kind of have the tendency to pull off a late move and do something that, is not on the radar quite yet. And I think Derrick Rose would be a primary target. I'm on the record again as saying I'm kind of happy we're not bringing Covington back in because we'd have to move some stuff around and make the money work. And as much as he is a good guy, I think he's going to be an awesome fit in Houston if that's where he ends up. I don't think bringing him here does anything for us right now. But yeah, I think that's about all that we could do. Maybe bring in someone else smaller, no names. Like I don't really know. I'm kind of at a loss, and I also haven't been hitting the trade machine that hard in the last week or so. So I don't have anything crazy cooked up yet, but who knows? Maybe I'll get bored and work tomorrow afternoon and be able to make up something wild. And we'll talk about that maybe next week after the trade deadline, or see if I can come up with something crazy. But nothing yet.
Sorry, and that's been one of the biggest things. Like you mentioned how you've stopped hitting the trade machine, but like I'm the same way. It's like at this point, it's like I don't know what, like it's been so disappointing. It's just hit like a total like toll on I think a lot of the fans. It's just like, well, you know what? They're showing no effort. Like why keep playing all these different trade rumors in my head? Because it doesn't look like anything's gonna happen. I know there was the rumors we were actually interested in Rose a few weeks ago, but after that rumor, I don't think there's been like anything noted about who the Sixers are looking at, if anybody. And it's just the way they've played these last few games. It's just hit everybody hard, and it's like surprising because we weren't expecting it. And now it's like no fake trade or anything is exciting anymore.
There is pretty much nothing that moves the needle for me right now on it rock bottom here. This is a weird time because we're supposed to be so happy right now. I expect us to be in first, maybe second place at this point in the East, and in a very good spot. And we're healthy. Joel Embiid's playing 25 to 30 minutes a night, but putting in big numbers and real exciting. And the team should have all the kinks worked out, especially when they started off undefeated. I mean, how many games in a row did we win? Was it 8? I think.
Yeah, if that, honestly.
Yeah. Whatever it was, we were all hyped up about it, and things have not been good lately. It's not fun watching the Sixers right now.
Yeah, I remember coming into the year, we were talking about all the possibilities and how many All-Stars this team could have at the break and stuff, and now you barely got 2 to represent the team. Embiid's obviously starting, and then Simmons gets put on the reserve team, but like I remember that being one of our preseason questions is like over under whatever number we set it at, players would make the All-Star game, and here we are, we barely got 2. It's just a very odd season, and again, I don't want to start the talks, but it's just like at what point, how much do you take account for it? And I don't think I've hit the toll yet, but I know I've seen some people on Twitter. It's like I don't know about you, but if we end up losing first round and getting knocked out in the first round, do you seriously start to consider trading like one Simmons or Embiid? I don't think I've hit that point, but I think if you do get knocked down in the first round, that'd be a fair question at some point.
It is definitely a fair question right now. I think last week or the week prior, I can't remember quite when we really delved into that whole topic. The tide has entirely changed on that. Yeah, if they're going to keep playing like this, I have a much harder time defending my position of keeping both of them. I'll never be in favor of getting rid of either of them, but I'll get it more. Like it's weird thinking about that kind of thing because they're the cornerstones of our team. I mean, I've watched Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons play every single game for the last 3 years. Like, I don't know. It's a weird time right now in Philadelphia. We need to pick it up, and hopefully they do pick it up. And we get back on here in a week, and I'm coming to me like, I told everyone how good we were, and I don't care what the last podcast said at all. We're still the best team in the NBA. Like, hopefully that's the case, but we'll definitely see when we're tested on Thursday against the Bucks, and yeah, if I hadn't been watching Dame Lillard just do stupid things every night when he goes out and just continually drops like 48 points every single night, like, and just betting on the Dame Lillard points in a game bet every night, number one, I would be broke because I've lost every other bet in my life. But number two, I would be far more depressed than I am right now because he has been so exciting. Like, have you been able to catch any of those games?
Yeah, I've seen. I can't say I've watched like the whole games, but I've seen all the nationally televised games they've been on, and that game against who was it last Friday? I think it was against the Lakers. Yeah, the first night back from that, and that game was just unbelievable. He was just scoring at will, and they had no answer for him.
Yeah, that was like one of the most ridiculous performances I've ever seen in a game where like all of the energy in the entire world was focused on the Lakers winning. Dame Lillard just went out and was like, nah, I'm still going to drop like 50 points and I'm just going to keep making 3-pointers. Like, it was ridiculous. That's one of the reasons I love Dame. And, we need to get that energy back on the Sixers a little bit here to kind of pull it full circle and get Joel Embiid out there just playing crazy like that, getting the people in the Wells Fargo arena all fired up again. And, yeah, we need to make a change. We need to get some excitement back. We need to go out and have a big statement game very, very soon. If for anything else, just to make me and you less depressed, Andrew. We both need it, and goddamn it, do we deserve it.
Right, I take way too much into sports to have depressing teams come back. We especially when we're supposed to be good. I need the extra energy from them to get us back to being happy. But maybe we'll see another 3 a.m. blockbuster by Ellen Brand in these next few days. One can only hope.
I mean, I have the notifications turned on, waiting for a Woj bomb to drop. So who knows what'll happen here in the next couple days as we enter the trade deadline. I mean, I will be pretending to work at my desk when the trade deadline is coming up, but in reality, I'll just be watching Woj and secretly listening to all of it and seeing what's going on there. I haven't heard a ton of buzz around the league or with trades, which is strange in the NBA, but someone will do something for us. Someone will make it exciting. And with this thought, let's get ready to close out the show. Got no Zaire stash this week. I don't think, or right now in this episode, I don't think we're in any situation to be having fun and making joking bits right now, and the Sixers are playing this shitty. So the people at home want to hear another Zaire stash bit. We need a fucking win. Next win we get, I promise. We'll throw one back out there. But we'll see how it goes. Andrew, you got any final thoughts here before we let the people go?
Unfortunately, no. And I think that just sums up the way this last few days have gone. And, hey, Sixers, prove us wrong.
Yeah, I completely agree. And with that, I will leave you guys with the ads. Follow us at TJ is one of us on Twitter. That's TJ is one, spelled out ONE of us. Andrew, what's your ad? Let the people know so they can hear you talk all good things, bad things, everything about Sixers and Philadelphia sports.
I am AJ_Santangelo.
All right. And I am SP Novick. And we will be back again on Thursday. I'm going to get Shane in here. And, hopefully we're talking after a big win or at least a great performance from the Sixers with Milwaukee. So on that, go Sixers as always, but we'll see you on Thursday night.
Fighting man I used to be, revered and feared through Killarney. Now I'm back to hitching with the wind. But if Mickey Flynn should ever find me, I'll throw me caution all behind me and swear I'll fall on that son of a bitch again. He cracked open a river too, he beat me Sunday through and through, and such jiggle over my unconscious strain. I won me healthy sheriff fights, well lucky son still have me life since Mickey Flynn beat me dumb and